Good evening and thanks for joining us. This is something new for us here at Valley's to do our virtual introduction to the season. This is for the under-10s for the season 2020 and we hope it goes well due to the new changing world we're in. My name's Clinton Kepnish, so I'm Junior Chair and Coaching Director of Juniors, and I have Karen Willis with us who is got that many names that she does here. She does everything. Let's just say she does everything.
Bit of everything.
Bit of everything. So what we're going to look at tonight, we're going to go through introductions, club philosophy, coaching resources, game day logistics. This stuff I need to save it for people who have been around, worthwhile going through it again. So don't think I've been here 4 years and I don't need to know this. COVID-19 especially, this is new to us. Clothing, blue card updates, also new stuff. Member protection, also new stuff, and staying in touch, and there's new stuff there as well. So we'll start going through it. And this is worth it to hear the people that you need to know. These are the age coordinators, our wonderful age coordinators for each group. So these are the people that usually are your first port of call for any little issues or hiccups or questions that you may have. And here are some more of them there.
It's a big group, and they've obviously put in a lot of work to do those team allocations, and a lot of that was done whilst they were on holidays. So big shout out to them. It's a tough gig being a age coordinator, but they all do it with a smile. So kudos to them.
Okay, so club philosophy, there's a couple of things worthwhile looking at here, is that helping the players be the best they can be. So that doesn't matter whether you are a Bradman or whether you are an absolute beginner and you might be an under 12s and really struggle. Cricket's all about being as good as you can be. There's only been, 400 people ever play for Australia. So the fact that when most of us are never going to play for Australia, and we hope that we do produce a few Australian players out of here, but that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to be as good as you can be, love the game, and develop your own personal skills, which might be outside of the game of cricket. It might be just about being a good human being, and that was part of something that cricket offers us. So play in the spirit of the game. So it's something we hear about a lot, and it's bandied around the term. The spirit of the game just does things about like really being treated the way you want to be treated and treat others the same. So that we're really not trying to be mean to people. We're just trying to have fun, and the other people are trying to have fun as well. And we do see it creep into some of the older age groups where it borders on harassment, where I can give a couple of examples where an appeal and the whole team will run at the opposition batter. Or they will start circling him and clapping their hands. So that stuff is really not on. It makes people feel like, what am I doing here? I don't need this. I can do something else that's not going to be so stressful to me. So we do not play in that spirit. It's not called for. And whilst we don't see it often, it's up for the coaches to really jump on that and make sure it doesn't happen. The other side of that is that you can encourage things like if an opposition player gets, or your own team player obviously, gets a score, if they get retired or what have you, clap them off, or a kid might play a shot on the other team and you're just going to say, well batted, or good shot, or nice catch, or fantastic over. That stuff's all about being encouraging. You don't lose anything. It doesn't take the edge off your game by complimenting the opposition or complimenting the other side or an individual. So just foster that sort of positive behaviour throughout the game, and the way we finish, shaking, well, we can't shake hands, but certainly do some sort of acknowledgement to the opposition after the game, that we just respect our opponents and just be respectful at all times. The same thing occurs also when we're umpiring as adults. We need to conduct ourselves as adults. And try to just be very, very neutral. And yes, you will always come across somebody who might challenge you, who might get underneath your skin, but you try to be as diplomatic as you can. If it tends to get out of control, try to then calm it and refer it back to the people at the club that we can then later resolve it at a later time. We don't want to see conflicts at games where kids are actually witnessing this sort of conflict. At the end of the day, it's a game of cricket, and even when you're playing at a competitive level, whether it be first grade or whether it be for Australia, if you win, lose or draw, the next day the sun will shine. So nobody, we at this club we've got 1,000 players, and I think we have 4 professionals. So, you know, maybe they might lose some sleep about what happens over a day because it's a livelihood to them. The rest of it is a pastime. So let's keep that sort of thing happening as well, that we can enjoy it. Continuing, what have I got here?
Developing game sense.
I'd say developing game sense. So that stuff is all about, you know, what do you do and how do you set fields and how do you encourage kids to do certain things. So game sense then is something that I don't see a lot of. We have to learn it when kids come into senior cricket. So if they've got, I call it a cricket brain, sort of knowing where to put fielders and where to bowl and just being general. You don't have to be a star. You can just have a general game that can be highly successful just based on having a good knowledge of the game. You might only have one shot, and that's a very good shot. And if you know how to play it and where to hit it, you can be very successful at the game. So that whole thing, and observe other players. You learn from looking at other players how they hit the ball, particularly good players. You can model through their behaviour as well. We've got, what have we got here?
The old cattle stations.
Yeah, we're not playing for cattle stations, and as I said to the other group, I use the analogy, no one will ever remember who won the under-13 premiership in 12 months' time, but they will remember who they played with and what good times they had, and they'll remember a great catch that someone took, or they'll remember an outstanding innings that someone played, or they'll remember the close game where it came down to a run out or 2 runs and someone scrambled through. That's what you remember. It's all about mates enjoying each other's time and enjoying that positive situation. So you do remember those things. It's not about the win or lose. So we're really not on about that. Yes, we'd like to be successful, but at the end of the day, as I said, the sun will shine and you'll have another bite of the cherry next week anyway. Coaching resources, we have many coaching resources available to us, and one of the things that we've really promoted this season, there's over 150 members, is the Coaches Corner, which is on Facebook. Don't be afraid of Facebook. You can just be a member of that and you can receive notifications for that if you wish, or you don't need to do that. You can just go and visit it once a week. I'm trying to add at least 1 to 2 videos to that every week, or something to be added to it. It's an open forum. If you have a question about, I have an under 15 bowler who runs into the crescent and bowls off his left foot, and he's a left-hand bowler. Is that any good? So we can open it up to what's technically good. We can get very technically. We can get very general. We can talk about fielding drills and what have you, as I have done in the last couple of days about some boring fielding drills that I see in action. So please use that. That's a really good resource. Go back, scroll down to the beginning, because there's some really good videos. They're very short, under 2 minutes, and so it's very easy to have a look at. We have the introduction to cricket. So again, you don't need to be a super coach. I don't care if you're coaching opens, 14s, 15s, 13s, 12s, 11s. Don't need to be a super coach to do this stuff. You just need to have a little bit of knowledge about what you're going to do on the day and be prepared that way. So that one of these things comes through the introduction to cricket, which is online through the community coaching stuff. We do offer coaching courses here as well, so stay tuned for that. But there's a level O, and you can progress through that. That's online. A level O is an elementary level that gives you some sort of knowledge of just basics of what you need to do. I'd also say your greatest resource as a coach is the parents that are standing around with their hands on their pockets or on their iPhone. Grab them and then maybe push them to do a level O, because they say, oh, I've never played cricket, I don't know anything about cricket, I'm a darts player. That's fine, fantastic. You don't need to know anything about it, because I'm going to get you to do one thing for me. You're going to stand behind that stump and just see if this little fella catches his arm going past his ear. And if he does, say well done, and if not, say get it a bit straighter. So that you've involved the parent, you've got one-on-one coaching, and you've just improved your lifestyle, because it's going to be a lot easier to coach the other kids, and you can do that. If you've got 3 parents doing that, wonderful, please do that. So please use those resources. We do have a number of school sessions which will be coming up very soon. I believe in the next fortnight they start. They'll be promoted through your age coordinators. That is for you to come down. These are nights where I encourage all the coaches to come down, and it's not only coaches, managers can come down, mums and dads can come down, interested parties can come down. This is about coaching the coaches. This is not individual coaching nights for kids, because if I can coach 2 coaches to take away a good message that they can take away, then that spreads to teams in massive numbers. So the knock-on effect is huge. It is about general basics, but I do get technical, and if I'm asked technical questions, I'll go technical. So people who are doing coaching probably 13s, 14s, 15s, the game does start to become technical, and without using bamboozling science, it is usually pretty intuitive about how the game is played. It's really usually about balance and levers and lines being in place. So we can talk about all of those things. I find anyone who comes to them, they're very interesting nights. I always love doing them because we always find something new, and we have some good fun. So please come along to those things if you can.
Excellent. Right, just a couple of housekeeping logistical things around game day. Now that we've all transitioned away from Friday night cricket into weekend cricket. So I guess the first important thing is wet weather. It is Queensland and it's summer, and there are going to be washouts. That's pretty much a given. So if there are any wet weather cancellations, they will be posted on the Valley's Facebook page. BNJCA will very, very rarely make a blanket call to cancel all games. So it's usually up to the individual teams. So on the day you may find, and as George mentioned, you know, we might have had 20 mils of rain at Ashgrove, but your game might be at Albany Creek and they've had none. So it's always worthwhile contacting your opposition coach or manager to discuss how you want to proceed. Are you going to go out there and inspect the fields together and then make a decision? Well, that's typically what will happen. Now, contact lists for all BNJCA teams, coaches and managers for every team are on the BNJCA website. So if it does look like it's a bit wet, typically I'll try and get that link and pop it on Facebook so you can make contact with your opposition coach or manager. There's also a wet weather procedure, which is on the juniors Facebook page in the files area. So as you go onto that Facebook page, on the left-hand side, there's on the banner, files. If you jump in there, there's a wet weather procedure which gives all the detail around that. Grounds and facilities. So bear in mind, even if you are playing at a school field, do not assume that the toilets will be open. Some schools, principals, groundsmen are very kind, and they may well come in the morning and unlock the toilets and then come back in the afternoon and lock them. But that's quite rare. So I would strongly suggest that you determine where the closest public toilet is to the field which you are playing at. And suss that out and share that information amongst the parent group.
And it is a bone of contention. We've been dealing with it for as long as I've been here. It is an unsolvable equation. We do the best we can. And if you want to sit down and have a coffee with me, I can tell you the 400 reasons why it's a problem. We don't have time to do it here, but every school is different and every situation is different. So yeah, it is a problem. The best way to go forward is find out where the nearest public toilet is.
Yeah, just to be on the safe side. Now, if there's any game location changes, like sometimes there might be maintenance going on at a school, so their field might be closed for one Saturday or one Sunday. So BNJCA will make every effort to find another field for that game to be played on, and as soon as we hear of any of those changes, we will typically contact that coach or manager direct, so that we can allow you some time to then advise your parent group about that change. Now, there's also odd occasions where there might be a requirement to start your game early, and this is very much on a case-by-case basis. But in some instances, if there is a grade, if you're playing on turf and there is a grade game starting straight after your game, you have to be off that field by, I think, 11:45?
45 at the latest.
At the absolute latest, so that they can prepare and do the coin toss and all those sorts of things for the grade cricket match.
So generally they have to be remarked, sometimes they're rolled, sometimes they need extra prep, there's got to be a toss, the umpire's got to put the stumps in, there has to be a wicket inspection, so it can be a bone of contention. It's a privilege to be able to play on turf pitches, so please don't push the envelope with captains or clubs with that. And the other thing that's worthwhile mentioning as well is that the covers, if there is rain around and you have to leave, come off, please recover the ground. Just don't go, oh, it's just heavy rain now, we won't play anymore, we'll just leave the ground, because an hour and a half later the team will turn up to a saturated field, and most players who are playing senior cricket are playing in excess of $700, not to mention equipment to play. So it's quite a disappointment for that to happen, and it does have ramifications for us future playing on those grounds.
And if that requirement to finish early, if we typically know about that beforehand, so we will absolutely try and relay that as soon as we know, and then you can liaise with the opposition coach to maybe start half an hour early or something of that nature.
Yes.
So that's what that's about.
Before we go to, we're still on game day on this?
Yes.
Well, I'll just go back to game day, the logistics about the spirit of what we do as umpires and handling the game. There is a list on Brisbane North's website talking about LBWs. Once you get into age groups above 13, we start to play LBWs. They have a ready reckoner, which is a 9-point system you should go through before you give someone an LBW. Well, yeah, good luck on that. Basically, I'm not a subscriber to giving kids out LBW in junior cricket, because they invent ways to get out. They will get out. There are very few hundreds scored every week, and if they score 100, they're probably not getting out LBW anyway. So if a dad, we have the technology, you sit back and watch TV, we've got umpires who are getting $150,000 and they've got $1 million worth of equipment and they still get it wrong. So I'm not prepared to ruin a boy's Saturday morning because I think it's hitting the top of leg bail, or it's probably just brushing off stump. I'm also not prepared to give him run out by saying, I think he was out by that much. If he's out by that much, I'm giving him not out, okay, because it's really not that cool. They will get out sooner or later anyway. And the only time I'd give anyone out LBW, and you can have an agreement with the opposition club, some of them will not be in it. Other times, other clubs are quite amenable and say, that's fine. Some of them will say, if it's in the middle, I'll give it. Okay, I can live with that. Personally, what I've always done, if someone is not using their bat and they're just padding up and playing back, I'll give them a warning. I'm saying, if the ball looks like it's hitting the stumps and you're just using your pads, I might have to give you out LBW. And that's, again, the ball's got to be hitting the stumps. There are so many things to think about the LBW rule that people don't fully understand. You really don't want to be giving it out on a whim. There's so many people do not understand that if you hit the ball onto your pads, you cannot be out LBW. So that alone, I reckon 60% of people do not understand. So give them out court and they'll get out bowled and they'll get out run out by 15 metres. So just be easy on the LBWs.
Good. Excellent. Right, scoring. Okay. Under 10 and under 11 age groups have the option to use a scorebook to score, or the My Cricket scoring app, icon up there, but it's not compulsory. So BNJCA do not award competition points for under 10 and under 11. However, as a club, what we do, if we can have those scores in My Cricket, they do form part of our annual report. So, you know, it's up to those coaches or managers or parents whether they use a scorebook or My Cricket. Under 12 age groups and above must submit scores via the scoring app within 7 days of the game completion. BNJCA are not flexible around the 7-day deadline. Even
Can
if
we
you've
restate
gone
that? They are not flexible around a 7-day deadline.
So please don't ask, because the answer will always be no. My saying is the answer is always yes. Yes, we can do that. Yes, we can try that. But around this and submitting the scores within that 7-day deadline, they are not flexible. And they will not allocate competition points. So even if you do get it in with 14 days, they just they still won't give you the points. So just please try and get it in, get it in within 7 days. If you use the app directly, it obviously directly uploads, but if you use the scorebook, you then have to sit down with the scorebook and transcribe it into MyCricket. So it's actually quite an easy system to use. So I would strongly recommend just using the MyCricket live scoring app, and you can use it on Android or Apple. You can use it on your phone, iPad, laptop, whatever works for you.
Just have a charged battery.
Yes, have a charged battery. Yep. Now, just in terms of instructions for using the app, there are typically we would have Andrew Kite from Queensland Cricket come out and do some face-to-face training. He very rudely has gone off to get married, so he's on his honeymoon at the moment. Plus with COVID, there would also be some restrictions about how many people we could allow at that event. So there are a number of documents, step-by-step documents on our website. Under that information for coaches and managers, there are the presentation from last year, how to set up your team, some scoring scenarios, just dummy scenarios, so you can have a bit of a play around in there. So there should be everything you need on the website about how to use the app, but even if you jump on YouTube, you will find hundreds of tutorials as well about how to use that. Now, I will be sending out login details to the coaches and managers on Thursday the 8th of October, which is tomorrow. So I'm in the process of just aligning all of your teams to the right draws in MyCricket. So when you log in with the information I send you, you can go and set up your teams. I strongly recommend you do that before Saturday, because if you are having any issues, we really want to try and sort that out for you before you get to your game. When you are lodging your results or submitting your results, never, ever, ever dispute a result, because the minute you dispute a result, it locks down that game, and then we have to go to BNJCA and pull teeth to get it unlocked and undisputed, etc., etc. If you go to put in your stats and you see that the opposition's stats don't marry up to yours or they got something wrong, don't hit the dispute button. Contact the opposition, coach or manager, and have a conversation or an email about, hey, this doesn't quite look right, and try and sort it out yourselves before, going to the extent of disputing it, because it's a real admin nightmare to then get that unlocked, retrieved, fixed and submitted. We also, you still have to submit results if the game is abandoned due to
I've got someone with the lights on.
We're recording.
Sorry.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so training's just finished. So you have to submit results even if the game is abandoned. That's another one. And any draw changes will be advised via Facebook and your age coordinator, and hopefully there won't be too many of them. Right, MPIOs. So we have 3 on the junior committee. So there's Amy Lee, myself and Joe O'Neill. We are your first point of contact for information and guidance about how to raise any issues around complaints. That might be racial vilification, harassment, unfair treatment, etc., etc. So if you experience any of those things and you're not sure what to do, you can contact one of us and we can provide you some guidance on how to proceed. Blue cards. If you are coaching or managing a team in which your child is a player, you do not require a blue card. You do, however, need to fill in a member protection declaration. These are located on the website, on that information for coaches and managers. If you don't have a blue card and you're coaching or managing a team in which your child is not a player, there are also these only came out last week, new blue card forms, again on the website. You do have to provide 2 forms of photo identification with this form, and it then goes to our blue card officer, Alex Coleman. If you need any more information about blue cards or you're not sure, please contact your age coordinator in the first instance, but all of the paperwork is on the website. You do not need a blue card also if you are a teacher or a police officer. So, have I forgotten anything about blue cards? I don't think so. Right, COVID-19, we're nearly done. First and foremost, if any of the parent group or their family or the players are not feeling well, stay home, first and foremost. In each of your kits, you would have got a little COVID kit. In there's some hand sanitizer, some disinfectant wipes, and some little plastic bags. I'm not sure what they're for. But sanitising regularly and wiping down any equipment that the children may share. So typically, I guess once they get under 12s, most of the children have their own kit. But if for whatever reason they are sharing a bat, maybe in an under 10 or under 11 kit, in between the children using it, just wipe it down with those disinfectant wipes. No sharing of personal equipment, so every child must have their own helmet and gloves and inners if you are sharing wicket keeping duties. We will be having some more helmets, gloves on sale here on Friday night, the 9th, between about 5 and 6:30 if you still would like to purchase any of those. And when you are out at the grounds watching the game, please keep your seating 1.5 metres apart. Ensure that social distancing is taking place.
For people who are umpiring with the senior model happening under Cricket Australia guidelines and Queensland Cricket guidelines for seniors, and I would mirror this, I would think, for umpires, when a kid gives you your cap, there'll be a whole range of people who may not want to take a sweaty cap. That's fine. You can place it behind the stumps or have a clip or a peg on your belt that you can put it on, and they can put it on and off. If the ball hits the cap behind the stump, there is no penalty, nothing happens, and you can call it a dead ball if it interferes with play. So that just means that umpires don't have to think that they're placing themselves into any particular area where they might be involved with, some item of wish where is shared, like sunglasses or a hat. With regards to polishing the ball, level balls in the older age groups, there is no saliva allowed on the balls, and there is no sweat from this area of the head put on the ball. So whilst it's not a big issue about shining, they do mimic what they see in first class arena. Do not allow them to put spit or saliva on the ball. Having just played a recent round and being a bowler, it's very difficult to force an old habit, but we did manage to do that. It's a new way forward, and these things will take a little bit of time to sink in, but we can only get to reinforce it, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Just with clothing, as you all probably know, we would normally have our training polos out to you by now, these ones here, for all the children, and also the coach and managers to wear. Given the uncertainty around whether season would even commence, we left ordering those shirts until the last minute just to ensure that we weren't incurring that expense if season was cancelled. So we expect they'll be here in a couple of weeks. So when they're here, Amy and I will package them up as we would normally do for you. And we will have some collection times posted on Facebook where you can come to the clubhouse and pick those up for the children. Right. Staying in touch, I think everyone probably knows the drill on this by now. If you're not already, please become a member of the Juniors Valley District Cricket Club Facebook page. All major announcements will typically go on there, and that's our primary way of communicating with the parent group. We also have the Valleys District Cricket Club page as well, which is the public page. The juniors one is closed. The Brisbane North Junior Cricket Association, BNJCA, also have a Facebook page, so you might want to become a member there just in case there's any wet weather or jaw changes. But typically, whatever appears on their page, we will replicate on ours, so ours is more important. Also, Instagram, we are on Instagram if you wanted to follow us, and feel free to tag us on your socials, #GoValleys. We get lots of great pictures of the children and the teams over the season, so it's good to have them all together in the one spot.
If we can just use the Facebook as an information page, and most of the questions should be posed through on the day. If it's a quick one, it's through a phone call or email to age coordinators or other routes, rather than sort of like posting some sort of complaint or individual inquiry or individual announcement, like, you know, little Billy and under 14s won't be there today because he's playing tennis with his mate at training. We don't need to have that on a public Facebook page that probably in excess of 1,000 people are going to look at. So it's more for information for the whole of everybody.
So if you can encourage your parent group that if they have any need to let you know of anything, that it's best to do that with you direct, either via text, phone call, email, carrier pigeon, rather than putting those very specific things on the Facebook page.
Also a tip for any new coaches and managers, it's worthwhile having an email trail or a messenger chat list or however you do it, so that rather than have to ring 25 people to get 11 people to tell them that it's off on Saturday morning, you can just tag them all in one message group. There are a number of different ways to do that as well, team apps, etc. But I usually find Messenger's the easiest way to do that.
I think that's us.
That's
I
us.
think we are all done.
So thank you very much. I hope you've got some information out of that. If you've got any further questions, by all means go through the avenues that we've talked about. You'll see Kaz and myself around. By all means say hello, and if you have anything that you require, please let us know. Other than that, have a fantastic season, and we hope everything goes well. Go Valleys.
Go Valleys. Right. We'll race to turn it off now.